Hey gang, I'm here with Audrey and Karen, and we want to talk about how we got our names, our femme names, if you will. My first support group meeting that I ever went to when I was like 23 years old, 24 years old, I walked into the meeting and I was told, or I was asked what my name was, and I gave them my male name. And they said, honey, no, you can't have a male name, you have to have a female name, you have to have a femme name. Well, I didn't have a femme name. But one of the things that I did to try to alleviate the trans feelings that I had was I worked out with weights and tried to make myself as big and strong as I could and as macho as I could. And so I thought of the first Miss Olympia that I admired, and her name was Rachel McLeish. And so I said to them, well, you can call me Rachel. And that's how I got my name. Now,
did that happen on the spot?
It took me about 20 minutes to think about it during the meeting, and then I told them, you know, Rachel. Because I felt like they weren't going to let me leave until I gave them a femme name. Anyway, fast forward to when I started the YouTube channel a couple years ago, and I thought I got to have a last name. Never had a last name other than my maiden name, if you will, and I wanted to come up with something that clicked, something that was that sounded good, that kind of sang a little bit. And I'm not much of a singer, so maybe you guys don't like my last name, but I also wanted to have a name that would make you think of a superhero. So I had to have one with the two initials that were the same, like Reed Richards or Peter Parker. And there was this gentleman in music that I really admired, and his name was Henry Rollins, and still is. In fact, he hasn't passed. So I came up with Rollins, and that's how I came up with my name. So I'm like, if you think of Rachel Rollins, think of the love child of Rachel McLeish and Henry Rollins. Now, how did you get your name?
I really have no. Hello, gang. I really have no. Reason for my name. If I was to say it was like my first girlfriend's name or something, you would say, go visit your gender therapist. So, it's kind of amusing. I basically almost had the same initials in my feminine name as in my real name. And a lot of trans women that you talk to, and you know, you find out their male name, it's really not that far of a stretch from their male name to their feminine name. A lot of them have same syllables, the same initials, so it's really very amusing. A lot of them are sometimes derivatives. I don't know, my memory or my mind just wanders a lot. And so when somebody comes up and says, well, my name's Roberta, well, right away, I think I may know your male name. It's inconsequential or anything, but it's just a funny little thought that just kind of wanders through my head, and that's just me.
So Audrey, how did you come up with your female name?
So the first time I went out, it was Halloween, and I went to a gay bar, and I don't go to gay bars anymore, so I've never had this experience again, and I'm kind of sad. But the experience I had was this person, Frank, came up to me and asked me my name and asked if he could buy me a drink, and I just told him my name, Jim, and he was like, talk to me, Jimmy, talk to me, Jimmy. So that seemed fine to me because I didn't know I needed a name. But then, the same as you, I went to a transgender meeting and they're like, well, you can't be Jim. And it's like, well, so actually, I think the key thing in this is, I was somebody, I was Jim, and now they're going, no, you can't be Jim. You have to like make up this other persona, which was kind of startling to me. But, so I was watching Twin Peaks, a show that was on a long time ago, and there was this pretty high school girl named Audrey Horn. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go with Audrey. And then as time went on, I added more to it. So my middle name is Claire, because I liked in Franny and Zoe and the family, J.D. Salinger, they had the family, the Glass family, and so to me, queer was kind of transparent. It had meaning to me. And then the last name Farber came from Firesign Theater, which nobody knows about, but there was a character in there, Audrey Farber. So actually, somebody in the trans community came up to me and said, Audrey Farber, I get it, but out of all the thousands of people, or hundreds or tens, however many people I've met, no one really caught the joke. But yeah, so I'm Audrey Farber now.
Well, that's great, Audrey Farber. That's awesome. Another thing that I wanted to talk about in today's video is how we each identify. And you guys all know about the spectrum that I talk about and how there's so many different identifications within the trans spectrum. You know, on the 1 to 10 scale that I've talked about in other videos. And for those of you who are just now seeing this video for the first time, I identify as transgender. Okay, I don't identify as preoperative transsexual or postoperative transsexual because I've had no surgeries. But I do believe that I would love nothing more than to be a woman. I can survive in my male body, and I can maintain my relationships with people that don't want me to be to have anything other than a male body, and I can get through my life that way. But yes, I believe that I'm a man that would love nothing more than to be a woman. That's the best handle that I can put on it. And if that makes me preoperative transsexual, then so be it. I don't really believe that I'll ever be a woman, no matter how hard I could try. I was born male. I have male chromosomes, and I don't think that I'm ever going to turn them into female.
But so you don't think you're a woman?
I'm not sure yet if I understand how the definition of woman is changed in society.
What's your definition?
My definition is a man with a womb, and I don't think that I am. No. With that, because I have beaten my self-identification up in so many other videos, I'm going to pass it off to Audrey.
So, I'm dual gender. It took me a long time to come to this. I was a cross-dresser for a time, and then it was more like a fetish thing, I told myself. But really, as I went on, I discovered that I have a girl inside of me, and this girl would not leave me alone. And though I hoped she would stop bothering me, she never would. She's been very patient all these years. She's been so patient. But so now I've come to the conclusion, and I went to a therapist to come to this conclusion, that I'm dual gender. What that means is I am a woman, but I'm also a man. So I'm really blessed. I have both. So I get to go out and do men things, and I get to go out and do women things. Now I will admit the women things are more interesting to me because they're so new and so wonderful to me, where the men things I've been doing all my life. But I do not aspire to move on and just be a woman. I like being both, and that's who I'm meant to be, and that's who I'm going to be.
Thanks! Karen!
Hello, how you doing? I'm a pre-operative transsexual woman. My whole journey started out when I was about 5 years old. I've gone through a lot of trials and tribulations throughout the process. Karen has never gone away. I have gone to therapists before and tried to address her, but it just never worked. I'll tell that story a little bit later, but throughout my whole life, Karen has always been here. I can't do anything about it, so I am trying to incorporate pretty much my male side along with my female side to come up with this singular person called Karen McAllister. It's a very long process. I'm kind of the new girl in the neighborhood here. I just came out publicly about a year and a half ago. So I'm doing little things to help out or take steps towards a transition, but they're just small steps right now. And hopefully in the future I can make a full transition.
Thank you. Well, there you have it. You know how we got our names and you know how we identify. I hope you guys can tune in for the next installment when we're going to be talking about things like how to find a gender therapist. What else are we going to talk about? What are the other topics we had? I know we had
Online
some.
dating.
How to stay safe when you're trying to find a date online.
Fears, accepting ourselves.
Yeah, how we got over our fears, you know, and our lack of self-acceptance if we had any to begin with, like you guys all know I did. But things like that. We're going to be talking trans, okay? And a lot of videos coming up. And I hope that you guys will put something in the comments. And thank you so very much for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe please. And we will see you again soon. Love and peace to all. And let's just try to accept one another for who we are. Almost forgot that one.